I've been a photojournalist for over 40 years, 32 of those as a staff photographer for the Miami Herald. Even in our rapidly changing world, I am a firm believer that the still photograph has the power to capture a moment and make us care. Miami is an amazing, diverse city that has a front row seat to some of the most important news stories of our times. News from around the globe is treated like local news here. People here care about Cuba, Haiti, Honduras, and Venezuela, among other places. Miami is living proof that we are all connected. My parents moved here from New York City in the 50s and became part of this story. I'd like you to meet my mother. She has been the most important person in my life. Here she is in 2009 in the Miami Herald newsroom on the day the Pulitzer Prizes were announced.
Let me say this before I lose my nerve. All you mothers and fathers, when your son wants to develop in the bathroom, and it's the girls' bathroom, they say, no, we don't want him in there, and I'm afraid he's going to do pornographic. And I'm saying to him, okay, you can do that, but you're going to be a doctor.
So, if it wasn't clear to you, she did not want me to be a pornographer. She wanted me to be a doctor. In my mom's eye, being a doctor was the greatest job in the world. As a former nurse, she saw the good work they do. She married a doctor, and together they had 12 kids. If my mom had her way, we were all going to be doctors and spread good in this world. Despite her best intentions, I grew up to make my living taking photographs. Or, as my 4-year-old daughter Annie told her preschool class, my mother folds laundry and my father shoots people. Whenever I traveled for work, to a natural disaster or some other significant human struggle, I would call my mother. And before she would ask about me, she would ask about the people I was covering. Are they okay? She always worried about the children. That concern has guided me throughout my career. Children are often the victims of circumstances beyond their control. They are uninhibited. They convey human resilience. This is a 6-year-old boy nicknamed Pollo because he liked to eat discarded chicken he found in a dump where he worked outside of Tegucigalpa, Honduras. What makes a still image compelling? You don't just point your camera at children and you're done. Some artists believe their art is an art until someone sees it and responds to it. It's the same for me with photojournalism. While I was at the Miami Herald, no matter how important the event was, I wanted to make the photograph as meaningful as possible, powerful enough to make the front page. Not for my own benefit, but because I knew to the people in that photograph, that moment was important. This was no easy task. At the time, the Herald had some of the most talented photographers in the world. That made me a better photographer. It forced me to focus on the 3 elements that make a good photograph. I'm going to talk about those 3 elements because knowing them will help you identify and understand a compelling photograph. But I want you to remember is that there is a 4th element that is the most important and the most difficult. That is the ability of the photo to move you. That is the true power of a still photo. Videos and moving images have their place in news coverage, but it's the still photo that stops time, demands your attention, and makes you feel something. Empathy, anger, fear, curiosity, nostalgia, joy, heartbreak, love. What happens when you look at a powerful photo? Are you moved to action, to protest, donate, adopt a child, travel? Can a photograph change your opinion, widen your understanding of the world and other people? A single image can stay with you forever. Think of Napalm Girl, the Vietnam War photo taken by AP photographer Nick Utt in 1972. The photograph shows 9-year-old Kim Phuc fleeing her village after South Vietnamese forces mistakenly dropped napalm on civilians. Although there is video footage of Kim and others running down the road, it is this single image that has stayed with us. It forces us to stop and notice what we miss in a fleeting moment, and you can return to it over and over again. Nick's photograph has become one of the hallmark images of our time. It gives innocent victims a face, and it enables us all to feel the brutality of war. The photo, the single moment, is what remains embedded in our heads. There are others. Dorothea Lange's migrant mother, an icon of the Great Depression. Brave 15-year-old Elizabeth Eckford walking into an all-white school in Little Rock, Arkansas in 1957, surrounded by jeering classmates. John Philo's photograph from the Kent State shooting in 1970. Elian Gonzalez, snatched from a closet in his relative's Miami home in a photograph by AP photographer Alan Diaz in the year 2000. Iconic still photographs have become part of our collective memory, and they continue to shape it. Amid the chaos of our lives and our frenetic social feeds, these still images make us stop our scrolls and become human again. Jay Mizell, a photographer I admire, used to repeat this saying, "We do not take pictures, we are taken by pictures." Some photographs are hard to look at. They make us uncomfortable. They should make us uncomfortable. They need to be seen. There are pictures we see in the comfort of our own homes, at our breakfast tables. We need to know that out there in the world, somebody is not eating breakfast. Being exposed to other situations, people, and places makes us better human beings. When a hurricane blows through Miami, you know there will be problems. When Hurricane Andrew struck South Florida in 1992, it destroyed more than 25,000 homes and damaged 100,000 more. The Category 5 storm caused 62 deaths. Hurricane Andrew changed lives, building codes, and the way we prepare for hurricanes. But when a hurricane blows through Haiti, where life is fragile and the infrastructure we take for granted doesn't exist, the outcome is even more devastating. In 2008, Haiti suffered one of the most brutal hurricane seasons in its history. Miami Herald photographer Jackie Childs and I were there the night of Hurricane Ike. It was the 4th storm to hit Haiti in a month. That next morning in Port-au-Prince, we began to hear rumors about Cabaret, a tiny town where children reportedly had been washed from their beds. We persuaded a driver to take us there. It was a 3-hour obstacle course across buckling bridges and roads melting into riverbanks. That day, what we saw changed me forever. But it was important for us to be there. A third of the 70 dead in Cabaret were children. The recovery effort stacked them on street corners, waiting for the coroner's truck. The United Nations called that hurricane season the worst humanitarian disaster to hit Haiti in 100 years. But those words don't do the toll justice. What does to me is this photo that appeared on the front page of the Miami Herald that Monday morning. A weeping father holding his drowned 5-year-old daughter. His name was Franz Samidi, and he had tried to wash the mud from his daughter's body. He wanted to run home to find her best dress, but the truck came too soon. Her name was Tamasha Jean. He grabbed my arm and begged me, "Give me a picture." To me, it seemed that he wanted her memory and her life to have meaning. So I did my best to do that. Everywhere I turned in Haiti, there were photographs that demanded to be seen. Jackie and I went back over and over again to cover the aftermath of the storms as people struggled to reclaim their lives. Overwhelmed maternity wards, malnutrition in rural areas, buildings collapsing from shaky foundations. In all, Haiti's 2008 hurricane season killed 800 people. More than 1 million were left homeless. It caused $1 billion in damage. 19 of the still photographs that I took that year were recognized with the Pulitzer Prize for breaking news photography. It was an honor. But more importantly, the photographs struck a chord with people and prompted them to act. Schools and towns in the United States donated money. Members of Congress went to Port-au-Prince to meet with the Haiti's president. They appropriated $100 million for disaster relief. As a photojournalist, your job isn't to worry about the impact of your photograph. In that fleeting moment, your job is to visually record the first draft of history. What you're documenting matters, but how you document also is important. You want to make sure it's accurate, honest, and unstaged. You want to capture a photograph that conveys the significance of what is happening in one instant. This is what French master of photography Henri Cartier-Bresson called the decisive moment. With every movement, whether it's someone walking down the street, a football being caught, or two lovers hugging goodbye at a train station, there is always a split second that encapsulates the entire scene's meaning. It's the ultimate frame in the great flux of life. Robert Capa, one of the greatest war photographers of our time, said, "If your pictures aren't good enough, you aren't close enough." I've tried to live by this closer is better advice, but occasionally it backfires. I didn't realize I could do this for a living until I was in college, sitting in the back of Professor Michael Carlbeck's classroom in a wooden shack on the campus of the University of Miami. Michael would turn out the lights and show photograph after photograph taken by some of the greatest photographers in the world. W. Eugene Smith, Walker Evans, Gordon Parks, Eddie Adams, Mary Ellen Mark, Brian Lanker. It was W. Eugene Smith who said, "What's the use of having a great depth of field if there is not an adequate depth of feeling?" But there are three primary elements of a photograph that, when done well, help make the most memorable stand out. Understanding and appreciating these elements helps you decipher average images from truly outstanding images, and why you react to some photographs more viscerally than others. Light. This is the importance of using whatever light is available in a creative, effective way to convey information and emotion. The importance of light also means being able to use darkness and contrast for emphasis. The second is composition. Composition is the organic, deliberate order of everything in the frame that provides balance, or sometimes imbalance, to make it more compelling. Depth of field, the rule of thirds, leading lines, a frame within a frame, these are all compositional techniques a good photographer uses to stop you in your tracks, to take note of what is going on. It starts with being in the right place and paying attention to what you see through your lens. Number 3 is moment. Capturing the right moment is about doing your homework, having the patience to sit and wait, and following your intuition to linger for the exact moment that encapsulates the whole story. Photographers strive to pull these elements together in one photograph for the greatest impact. The results can be magical. I really thought the 2008 hurricane season in Haiti was the worst thing I ever photographed. But on January 12, 2010, a magnitude 7 earthquake struck Haiti. It killed 220,000 people. After a lifetime of shooting photographs, your awareness of light, composition, and moment all fire at once inside your head when you're on a story. You want to make this moment as important to the people seeing the photo as it is to the people in the photo. These are the photographs I implore you to stop and notice. What are they trying to tell you? They are your visual cues to widen your understanding of the world and your own lives. People caring for other people is ultimately all my mother really wanted. Near the end of 2014, while I was in Haiti working on a story about the upcoming 5-year anniversary of the earthquake, my mother died back in Florida. She was 86. I like to think I lived up to her expectations, although I'm pretty sure she didn't give up on that doctor idea. In late April 2010, I was on the phone with my mother, and I mentioned that I was a finalist for the Nieman Fellowship for journalists to spend a year at Harvard. They were flying me to Boston for a final interview. I was 51 years old. You know, my mother said, without missing a beat, it's not too late to go to medical school. Thank you.